our channel Trailhead Ranger and Jay, and today we'll be discussing some interview questions which I have faced while giving the interview for NTT Data, and for it is for Senior Salesforce Developer role, for which at least 4 year of experience was required. So there are some questions which they have asked to me, and it was L1 round. So let's get started with this. We have first question was, what is data skew? So data skew might be the term you have heard while you were learning the administration part of the Salesforce. So it is a condition where too many records are associated with one parent records. Suppose if we are having a lookup relationship between two objects, so there are too many child records attached with one parent records, then that condition will be called data skew. And why it is defined as a condition? Because it could cause some kind of problem while working with large number of data setups. So suppose in thousands or 10,000s, if we are having there many records associated to one parent record, it could be a very big problem. So it can be ownership based, lookup based, or account based. So the example which I have told you, it is lookup based, and as its name suggests, ownership based could be if owner is the parent record and it is having multiple number of child records, and likewise with account base. So I hope you get it. Let's move on to the second question, that is, can we change the data type of formula fields? So the answer is no. No, we cannot change the data type of formula fields. It could lead to the loss of data. So suppose in formula field we are having a returning data type of number, but if we are changing the data type of that formula field to some text field or some other field, there is a chance that if some of the records are having that field populated, it will lead to the loss of that data. So yes, there will be a problem, and that's why it does not allow us to change the data type of formula fields. Now next question is, are you aware of the dollar sign property? Where do we use it and why? So, if you have worked on LWC, you will be aware uh, that there is a dollar property which we use in the LWC, and the answer which I have written it is written in my language. It is the language which I have used while giving the interview. Mostly it is same, just a bit or two word could be here and there. So yeah, so answer is that if you have worked on LWC, you might be heard of dollar property. So in JS file of LWC, when we are using the wire property, so there is a variable which we assign with dollar property. If we want to fetch its value reactively, so there we use it, so that we can get the value of that property in real time. Example is dollar sign and record ID. So we have next question as, why do we use cacheable equals to true annotation? So it is very simple that we use it to expose our apex method to the LWC along with aura enabled annotation. So if our apex method is assigned with the annotation aura enabled cacheable equals to true, it means we are exposing our that method to the LWC. Then LWC will be able to access that method. Sorry. So then I had the follow-up question on this. So if we don't have the cacheable equals to true along with at the rate aura enabled a notation, then won't we able to access the apex method to LWC? So answer is, we will be able to access it, but only imperatively, not with the wire decorator. So I hope you are aware that while working with the LWC, there are two approaches which we follow to call our apex method. One is using wire decorator, and another one is to call the apex method imperatively in LWC. So if cacheable equals to true is not there, then we can call our apex method imperatively in LWC, but not without aura enabled. So if you will get question that if we are able to access it without aura enabled, then it's not true. So let's move on to the next question, that is, can we perform DML operations when we are using cacheable equals to true? So no, we cannot perform DML operations when we are using methods with cacheable equals to true, as it only allows the method to fetch data and in read only matter. So no DML operations can be done if our apex method is defined with cacheable equals to true, or the other way is to say that if we are using our apex method to call using wire decorator, then we cannot perform any DML operation on that apex method. The next question is, can we change the property in the child component which has been passed from parent to child and then pass the updated value to parent component? So the answer is yes. Yes, we can change the property in the child component which has already been passed from parent to child and then change the value of that property in the child component and pass the updated value to the parent component. So again, the follow-up question was that how you can do it. We can do it using, we can pass the value from parent to child and then update the value in child and send back the updated value to parent using custom event. So from sending parent to child, we can use the API decorator, and for sending the updated value from child to parent, we can use the custom event. So next question is, if we have three components and A is the parent to B and C and B are sibling components. So if we want to pass the data from B to C, then can we do it? So my first answer was yes, we can do it. We can use the PubSub model or LMS. So the next question, follow-up question I got was, okay, that's correct. But if you want to use the simplest approach, using LWC only without involving PubSub model or LMS, then is it possible? And if yes, then how? So my answer was yes, it's possible, but so the simplest approach would be, we can send the data from B child to A parent using the custom event and then pass the value from A to C child component using the API decorator. So it will be a simplest approach instead of using the PubSub model or LMS. Okay, then we have the next question as, explain lifecycle hooks in LWC. So I have already covered a video on it, explaining complete lifecycle hooks in LWC. So you can watch that, and I'll be pasting the link of that in description as well. And meanwhile, I'll give the simplest answer, that if we are having a component while it gets processed, first the constructor gets created, then our component gets attached to the DOM. So after this, the connected callback get called, and after that our component gets rendered and rendered callback gets called in the lifecycle hooks of LWC. So the follow-up question on this was, if we have an error, then how it will work? So if we have an error, so just right after the rendered callback, we will have the error callback, and then the disconnected callback will run, which will allow the LWC to get disconnected from the DOM. So this is it, but if you want to know the answer in detail and understand it completely, you can refer the video on the lifecycle hooks in LWC. So let's move on. And our next question was that what is the difference between database.insert and simple insert DML operation? So database.insert is referred to as a dynamic DML, where if we will insert number of records at a time, so the number of records which will fail, only they will get rolled back, rest of all get processed successfully. But in case of simple insert DML operation, irrespective of number of record gets passed, even if a single record gets failed, all of the records get rolled back. So if we most of the time in our apex method in the projects, we refer to use the dynamic approach, so that not all the rollback should be happening, but at least the one who gets successful implementation, they should get be inserted or have the operation performed on them. So let's move on to the next question. That is, what are the number of ways to invoke a batch class? So there are number of ways which we use to invoke a batch class. We can invoke it from queuable class, flow, trigger, or schedulable class. But if we talk about place that where we can call the batch class, we can create an instance of batch class in the developer console, and there we can use the anonymous window to invoke a batch class. Question is, can we call batch apex from another batch apex, and if yes, then how many? So yes, we can call batch apex from another batch apex. We can having running batch one at a time. So and but we can queue 5 batches at a time. So, what does it exactly mean? So, yes, we can have 5 batches at a time, which we can call from one batch to another and second to third one. But only one will be running at a time, not all 5 will be running at a time. The follow-up question I was having is, in which method of batch apex we can call another batch apex? So we can call another batch apex from finish method of one batch apex only. So next follow-up question I had on this, like why not other method like start method or execute method? So because finish method of batch class gets called only once, and but if we talk about start method of the batch class, it get called multiple times. Sorry, it is only for fetching the number of records which needs to be processed for batch class, and no operation is performed in start method of a batch apex. But for execute method it gets called multiple times. That's why we call another batch apex in finish method of the batch class. So that's it for this. Now we have next question as, can we do chaining from a future method as well? So the thing which we did for batch class, that is calling one method from one batch from another, and then the another batch from the third one. So the same can we do from the future method as well? So no, chaining is not possible from future method because its return type is void only, and it is run for only primitive data types such as boolean, date time, integer. Only those kind of primitive data types it will run for, and future method is generally used for web callouts only. So that's why we cannot do chaining from a future method. Now we have next question as, what is the return type of SQL? So it is list of standard of object. So if you have worked on SQL, this question is very easy. And then next question, total of 19 question we have. Let's move on to the next. That is, what are the ways to optimize SQL query? So what so there are number of ways using which we can optimize SQL query, such as we can have only those fields which needs to be queried. Then we can filter queries using where clause. We can use limit keyword to avoid hitting governor limits. We can avoid using SQL inside for loop of any trigger or apex class. We can avoid using not in and not like. We can use in instead of multiple or condition. Like if we are having set of IDs, so we can use in instead of having the hard code values, using or conditional operator. We can even use aggregate queries for summarized data as well. So then we have next question as, can we use the SQL query inside the for loop? We can, but we should not for the best practices. And why we should not do this? Because it will allow us to hit the governor limits. So we should avoid hitting governor limits in Apex trigger or Apex class. Then we have next question as, what are the governor limits and why does Salesforce utilize governor limits? So governor limits are some limits which are defined by the Salesforce for each and every action. And why does Salesforce utilize these limits? Because Salesforce is using a multi-tenant environment. So to not monopolize its resources, we are having governor limits so that the efficient utilization of resources can be done by using the utilization of the governor limits. Now the next question we have you ever faced the SQL 101 error? And if yes, then how do we solve it? So yes, I have faced it because SQL governor limits has been hit, and we need to check if all fields are correctly being fetched, if the usage of where clause and limit keyword has been used appropriately, and the usage of relationship query must be correct. So this is again the gist of the SQL efficient usage, that is which we have covered in earlier question as well. Now the next question is, write a SQL to fetch top 5 accounts based on their revenues. So we can write select ID from account, as it is based on the revenue, so we will order by revenue, and we need top 5, so we will use descending, and as having the number of 5, so we will use limit of 5. Then next we have, now if we want to fetch all accounts where we don't have any linked account, then how shall we do it? So if we want to use the aggregate query, we can use like select id, count of id con from account where con equals to 0. So no, actually the first answer, which this was the one I had written, and it was wrong, because it is not correctly written. First of all, we have not used the order by clause, which is important for the aggregate query, so that's why. And second, we need to utilize the relationship query. In this, we need to use the relationship of the account with context. So we should write the second answer is the correct one, that is select id name from account where id not in, then we will write the relationship query, that is select account id from context. So second one is the correct answer. This one I had given the wrong answer, but I have provided you with the correct answer as well. So I hope this video is helpful for you to preparation for your interviews. There might be some question which are for earlier interviews as well, for 2 year of experience or more. So I hope you like it, and if you do, please like the channel, like the video, and subscribe the channel, and stay tuned for more and more. And if you have any video topic in mind you want me to cover, you want me to make video on, you can let me know by commenting on the video, or you can DM me on the Instagram, or you can reach me out on the LinkedIn as well. There are multiple resources. There is email mentioned as well in the description, so you can check those out as well. Thank you.